A signal older than the stars has awakened. Children across the galaxy are humming the same mysterious melody. Ancient machines respond, and a forgotten force known only as the Hollow begins to stir. But what if the only way to stop it isn't with weapons or war, but with memory, unity, and song? If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video and tell us where you are watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. In the silent reaches of deep space, where stars are few and time feels frozen, a pulse echoed through the dark. It was not a cry for help. It was not a transmission from any known species. It was a pattern, precise, ancient, and directed. Aboard the exploration vessel Solara, Captain Silas Reed stood at the center of the command bridge. His eyes locked on the strange waveform displayed on the screen. "This isn't random," he said. Next to him, Envoy Talon Vor analyzed the signal. He was trained to understand alien languages, patterns, intent, but this didn't match any known database. Dr. Lara Marn entered from the science deck. She was the ship's lead xenophysicist. Brilliant, focused, always calm. She looked at the readings and paused. "This is older than any star chart, older than recorded history." Captain Reed gave a quiet order. "Track it." The signal led them to a dead planet in an unmarked system. As they entered orbit, they saw it. A large satellite station hovering above the surface. Motionless. No lights, no transmissions, no signs of life. But the signal pulsed from its core. Slow, steady, constant. Solara docked. The crew prepared for boarding. Envoy Talon led the way. As they entered, the air felt heavy, not from gravity, but from silence. Walls were covered in symbols not found in any known language. The station was built for a species that had vanished long ago, yet the systems were intact. Dr. Lara found a terminal still running. The signal was coming from it, but when she approached, it changed. The waveform responded to her presence. Captain Reed watched from the command deck through the feed. "It knows we're here." Back on the ship, a young technician named Kieran Salvi monitored energy readings. She was quiet, brilliant, and different. Her mind worked faster than most. Her memory never forgot a single pattern. She called to Dr. Lara. The signal shift. "It followed your brainwave pattern." Lara tested the terminal again. The symbols on the walls glowed faintly. Then a voice spoke, not in words, in emotion. A deep feeling that passed through each of them. Not a welcome, not a threat, a call. They returned to the ship. The signal had grown stronger. Kieran felt something strange, not fear, familiarity. That night, she dreamed of the station before it was abandoned. She walked its halls, heard its hum, saw humans moving through it. When she woke, she remembered it all, every detail. She told Captain Reed. He didn't dismiss her. He had dreamed too. So had Talon and Lara. The same dream, the same memory. None of them knew why. On the third day, another ship arrived. It was from the Siren Alliance. Peaceful scientists, tall, graceful, wise. Enarivex, their lead observer, greeted Reed and his team. They too had followed the signal. But their scans revealed something alarming. Humans were affecting the signal. When humans were near, it grew louder, clearer. Enarivex studied Salvi's brain activity. He looked at Reed and spoke calmly. "She carries the imprint." Reed asked, "What imprint?" Enarivex answered, "The kind written before the stars had names." That night, the signal changed again. Now, it carried pulses of sound. They were not random. They were tones, a melody. Kieran Solvi sat near the console. She heard the melody not with her ears, but in her mind. She followed it, and the terminal responded. Symbols rearranged. Lights blinked. The room warmed. She whispered a word she didn't remember learning. A name. Ishari. The lights in the station turned on. Across the galaxy, in other forgotten ruins, long dormant systems activated. Silent for thousands of years. Now awake. Back on Solara, Dr. Lara stared at the readings. The signal was Nev, one type of mind, human. Captain Reed stood on the observation deck. He looked out at the empty stars. He knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy thought humanity was young, but something buried deep was waking, a memory older than bones. And now that it had found them again, there would be no silence left. The station was no longer silent. Since Kieran Solvi spoke the word Ishari, its systems had awakened. What was once cold and forgotten now pulsed with quiet energy. Lights followed her as she moved through the corridors. She didn't understand why, but the station did. Dr. Lara Marn continued to study the signal. What was once just a pulse was now a pattern, a sound that shifted with emotion. When Kieran was near, the signal grew stronger. When she touched the terminal, the symbols changed. Envoy Talon Vor watched carefully. He had studied hundreds of languages. But these symbols were something else. They felt alive. Captain Silas Reed brought a private message to the team. A Galactic Council observer was arriving. Commander Lynn Varen. He was Siren. Tall, sharp, focused on protocol. His job was to assess danger and silence it. When he arrived, he made his position clear. This station is a relic. It must be shut down. Captain Reed disagreed. This is not a weapon. It is a message. Commander Varen studied Kieran. She was calm, but something in her aura unsettled him. He ordered a full scan. During the scan, Dr. Lara discovered something unexpected. Kieran's brainwave patterns were not only unique, they matched a long-lost registry of pre-council neural data, data believed to be theoretical. She called it ancestral resonance. Humans were reacting to something hidden in the station, something only they could see. That night, more dreams returned, not just to Kieran, to others on the crew. They dreamed of cities made of, and of beings who spoke without words. Sophia Wren, a young quantum linguist on board, had her first dream. In it, she walked through a hall of mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of Earth. Some alive, some burning, some forgotten. When she woke, she drew the symbols from her dream. They matched the ones on the station walls. Envoy Talon brought in Elder Osri Dell, a historian from the Arcana species. She had studied ancient ruins for over 80 years. When she saw the drawings, she froze. These symbols are older than any known language. She translated one phrase, "Children of light, returners of memory." Dr. Lara whispered, "This signal was meant for us." Commander Varan disagreed. Coincidence does not equal destiny. Captain Reed asked him to wait. They needed more time. The next day, Kieran approached the central terminal. This time, she did not just touch it. She spoke again. But not in a known language, in a rhythm, a pattern. Sophia heard the sound and responded, without knowing why. Together, they unlocked a deep chamber in the station. Inside was a sphere of light, floating, humming. Guardian Eshnor appeared, a figure made of light and memory. Not a person, not a machine, something in between. His voice was calm. "You have come as we hoped. He spoke of the sentience, a civilization older than stars. They did not rule, they remembered. When war consumed the galaxy, they planted seeds. Humans were one of them. Reed asked, "We were made?" Eshnor answered, "No, you were chosen." Sophia asked why they were chosen. Eshnor replied, "Because your kind can carry light and shadow. Because your memory holds what others forget." Commander Varen grew restless. He asked if Eshnor was trying to awaken humans as leaders. Eshnor said nothing, but his silence held weight. Elder Osri spoke quietly. "Perhaps it is about balance." That night, the station pulsed again, this time across the galaxy. 6 other stations responded, long dead, now awake. Captain Reed stood at the viewing deck. Stars blinked in patterns they had never seen. Signals moved faster than light. Sophia whispered, "We've lit the path, but where does it go?" Kieran answered without turning, "Home. Not the home we remember, but the one we forgot." On Solara, systems began to hum in rhythm with the signal. Dr. Lyra confirmed something extraordinary. The ship itself was changing, its material responding to the signal, adapting, evolving. Commander Varen sent a message to the Council. They may not be ready for this, but it's already begun. Guardian Eshnor spoke one final time. "You were never meant to be just passengers. You were always meant to return. And now the memory is awake." The light inside the ancient station grew stronger each day. Guard, speaking only when needed. He watched, he listened, he waited. On board Solara, systems continued to evolve. Materials once silent began to glow. Data cores shifted. Energy fields adjusted. Dr. Lyra Marn recorded every change. The ship was no longer just reacting. It was learning. Captain Silas Reed stood on the command deck. He knew something was happening, something big, but he still didn't know why. Down in the research bay, Sophia Wren studied the memory symbols. She found repeating patterns, maps, equations, and coordinates, all pointing to another location. It was a system called Kelev, a region believed to be empty. No planets, no stars. But according to the ancient data, something was hidden there. Kieran Solvi confirmed the readings. The signal from Kelev was faint, but active. Captain Reed gave the order. Set a course as Solara moved through space. The ship continued to respond. Doors opened without calm. Everyone on board felt it, like the ship itself was dreaming. On the second day of travel, a new ship appeared. It was not Siren, not human. A trader vessel, small and worn. Its pilot was Kayan Tor, half human, half something else. He requested permission to dock. He claimed to know the Kelev system. Reed allowed him aboard. Kayan met with Sophia and Lyra. He spoke slowly. Years ago, he had found an artifact on a dead moon. It bore the same symbols. He didn't know what it meant until now. When he entered Solara, the ship responded. His presence triggered another change. A new message from Guardian Eshnor. The mirror is near. Kayan didn't understand, but Sophia did. She explained the mirror wasn't made of glass. It was a place, a vault of memory, a reflection of truth, and it was waiting to be opened. When they reached Kelev, they found nothing, just black space. No planets, no debris, but the signal was strong. Kieran used the ancient console to send a pulse. A ripple spread across the dark. Space shimmered, and a massive structure appeared, hidden by time and light. The ancient mirror. It was round, endless, built from living metal. Its surface rippled like water, but solid beneath. Solara moved closer. The signal pulsed in waves. Guardian Eshnor spoke again. Only the returners may enter. Kiran, Sophia, Kyan, and two others stepped forward. They felt the pull, not fear, recognition. Inside the mirror, time changed. Moments slowed. Memories surfaced. Sophia saw her own face in a city of light. Kiran walked through a forest made of stars. Kyan stood on the edge of a forgotten battlefield. Each of them faced something personal. Each of them heard a single question. Do you remember who you are? When they answered yes, the mirror responded. Energy surged through the point. Not Eshnor, but a different guardian. Female, composed of light and shadow. She introduced herself as Ina Vel. She was the caretaker of the Kelev archive. Her voice was calm. You are not just descendants. You are echoes. Sophia asked, Echoes of what? Ina answered, The ones who came before. The ones who became memory to protect what matters. She walked with them through the chamber. Walls showed events from long ago. A war that shook galaxies. A silence that followed. And the creation of the sentient seeds. Humans were one of them. Chosen not for strength, but for balance. For adaptability. For memory. Ina spoke of the Watchers. Beings who feared memory. Who fed on silence. And now the Watchers were stirring again, because the echoes had returned. Kiran asked what would happen next. Ina replied, More will awaken. Some will remember peace. Others will remember war. Sophia asked what they should. A soft hum filled the room. You must choose. Guide them, or let them break what we saved. When they left the mirror, the Solara had changed again. Its engines pulsed with new energy. Its systems connected to ancient nodes across the galaxy. Captain Reed met them at the airlock. His voice was calm. What did you find? Kiran answered, Ourselves. Kyan added, And our purpose. Ina Vel appeared on the ship's main display. Her message was clear. The memory is no longer hidden. The mirror is open, and the light is watching. The mirror was open, and the galaxy could feel it. From the edges of known space to the oldest colonies, signals echoed through forgotten channels. Ships picked up vibrations they couldn't explain. Stations lit up with symbols no one had seen in lifetimes. And across the stars, children began to dream. Aboard the Solara, the crew worked in silence, not out of fear, but out of understanding. Ina Vel's presence remained in the system. She no longer guided, she only watched, and her message had been clear. Those who remember must now lead. Captain Silas Reed gathered his officers. They met in the command deck under a quiet sky. Dr. Lyra Marn explained what the readings showed. Energy spikes across multiple sectors. Not random, not dangerous, but focused. Soft pulses forming a network of light. Sophia Wren spoke next. Each pulse matches the frequency of the Kelev mirror, but they're not from machines, they're from people. Kiran Solvi confirmed it. Across colonies and outer settlements, humans, mostly children, were resonating with the signal. Not by accident, by design. Kyan Tor stood near the observation window. He looked at the stars, then spoke. The others are waking up. We're not alone anymore. Reed nodded. What comes next? Ina's voice echoed gently. The hollow remembers light. And I. Dr. Lara explained that in the old data, the hollow was described not as a creature, but as absence, a force that consumes memory, that feeds on silence. And now it knew the echoes had returned. Guardian Eshnor reappeared beside her. He confirmed it. The hollow cannot be fought like an army. It must be quieted, with balance, with harmony. Sophia stepped forward. Then we need to find the others, children like me, Kieran agreed, and teach them before fear gets there first. Commander Lynn Varon, once doubtful, now listened with calm focus. He turned to read, "Then we need to become protectors, not commanders." Cayenne Tor suggested starting with the outer colonies. Signals from there were the strongest. Inara Vel's final coordinates pointed to the edge of Sector Tesh, a peaceful farming system with a population under 10,000. A perfect place for something ancient to hide. Solara changed course. The journey took. The ship's systems stabilized. Energy patterns once chaotic, now moved like music. Crew members reported vivid dreams. They didn't fear them anymore. They welcomed them. Safia trained with Guardian Eshnor. She learned how to hear the pulses from other humans, how to translate them into images, into connection. Kieran worked with Solara's core. She learned how to use the ship's new senses, how to respond with thought instead of command, and how to keep the signal steady. On the 5th day, they arrived in Tesh. A small planet named Orin waited below. Its skies were clear, its people unaware, but the signal was strong. They landed quietly. No weapons, no soldiers, just guidance. Safia and Kieran stepped into a village near the edge of the main river. A child stood waiting, barefoot, eyes glowing faintly. His name was Jalen Rusk. He was 10 years old. He smiled when he saw them. "I've been waiting," he said. He led them to a small clearing behind the hills. Other children were there, some sitting, some drawing in the dirt, all humming softly. The same melody Sophia had heard inside the mirror. She knelt beside Jalen. "Do you know what this is?" He nodded. "We're singing the shape of the stars." Back on Solara, Guardian Eshnor confirmed it. These children were awakening in harmony. The Hollow would sense them, but it would not yet reach them. Not while the song was strong. Captain Reed sent messages across Allied ships. "Protect these children. Teach them gently. Don't silence the memory." A new path had formed, not one of war, but of unity. Sophia watched the children create shapes with sound, each note building light. Kieran saw the sky shift, not with fear, but with balance. The echoes had returned, not to rule, but to remind. And as the galaxy listened, the Hollow paused, not in defeat, but in confusion.